I remember when I left Vrindavan, because my visa expired in India. This was in 1972. I went to Nepal for some time. And while I was there, I was staying in so many different kinds of places, sometimes in caves, sometimes under trees. At one point, it was somewhere near the Kathmandu Valley. I slept for a few days in a cowshed with cows. And while I was there, while living with the cows, my body, from my neck to my feet, was covered with lice. Little tiny insects that just suck your blood. And they itch terribly. My body was itching so bad because it was covered with lice. But I learned from Bhagavad-Gītā that real knowledge is to see every living being with equal vision, to have compassion for the sacredness of life in everyone. So, in my consciousness, I was thinking that every one of these lice is my brothers and sisters. They're all part of God, and somehow or other, they have made their home in my body. So they were itching and they were biting, but I would offer my pranams to the lice as I would chant God's names, and I would chant a little louder than usual for all the lice could hear it. And this went on for maybe a month and a half. And I had to leave Nepal, and I got a 2-week tourist visa to India. I went back through Vrindavan. Then from Delhi, I flew to Europe. And then by an inconceivable arrangement, I was completely bereft and in desperation in Amsterdam. People were attacking me and harassing me because I was a little sadhu with matted hair and a lungi and a chadar and a begging pot in downtown Amsterdam. And American sailors were harassing me. And somehow I went down a little alleyway and I saw on the left side an old garage with a sign saying Radha Krishna Temple. It was the middle, about midnight. So I knocked on the door. And there was a devotee of Krishna who answered the door. He was a Dutch boy. His name was Sudarshan. And he saw me, and I was quite desperate, and he let me in. And I remember the experience. I had just been accosted by prostitutes, bullied by sailors. People threw a whole keg of beer over my head in the freezing cold. And here I was now in this very beautiful temple. There was incense burning. There was a beautiful tape playing of Srila Prabhupada, my guru, singing. There was wonderful paintings of Krishna and Radha in Vrindavan on the walls. And he came to me and I asked him, could I take a bath to wash this beer off me? And after I took a bath, he gave me hot milk with bananas and cardamom. And I was so happy. I was thinking this is like an oasis in a desert. So I made my residence at that ashram for about a month. And the brahmacharis, or the monks, they all lived in a little loft. There was about 10 of us. The little loft was quite crowded. We slept on the floor together. And my body was itching so bad, but I would never scratch it, because I was afraid if I scratched it, I would cause pain to one of the lice. So I just tolerated it. And after some time, it became just a part of my life. It was like it didn't even bother me anymore. The itching just became the normal way a body feels. But one day, several weeks later, one of the monks, or brahmacharis, saw on the floor a little lice crawling. And I was the only one up there at the time. He became so upset, because he was a Dutch boy, so he didn't know English so good. So he looked at it and he said, "A little animal, a little animal. Where is this little animal coming from?" And then he looked at me. He said, "Do you have little animals?" And I said, "You mean those guys?" He said, "Yes." I said, they're living beings. They're part of Krishna. And he said, "Are they on you?" And I said, "Yes." And he became so disturbed. He said, "Everyone in the ashram is going to get lice all over their bodies because of you." He said, "You have to take medicine, little animal medicine." And I said, no, I can't do that, because they're people. And, we're devotees of Krishna. We're supposed to see Krishna in everyone and everything. And he became very disturbed, and he went down and told the president of the temple. And the president of the temple was furious. He came running upstairs, and he looked at my body, and he saw hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of these lice. And he said, you have 2 choices. Either you take the medicine or you get out of here today. And I was talking about how could we kill others for our own sake? He said, it's not for your sake, it's for everybody else's sake. And then he started telling me about Bhagavad-Gītā. How Krishna was told to kill the Kurus for the cause of Dharma. So for the cause of Dharma, you have to kill these lice. I didn't understand this. So finally I said, all right, I will do it. And so he told my friend who discovered them. And he ran to the store and came back, and he said, I have the little animal medicine for you. And I just wiped it all over my body, and all the lice fell off. They were finished. But I was so sentimental at that time that as I was putting it on, I was loudly chanting Krishna's names. Because I remember Gita tells, Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tijatyante kalevaram, that whatever you remember at the time of death, you will attain. And if you remember me at the time of death, you will attain me, Krishna said. So I was chanting, thinking that if the lice hear Krishna's name as they're dying, then they may get a better birth. Maybe they'll get liberated. So that was one of my first experiences of being in the Western world, being harassed, being abused, being misunderstood, and then having the very basis of my philosophy challenged by my own people.